everyone, it's Sarah Lunn, your real estate resource. I'm here today at Swaffield Septic talking to Tom Swaffield about septic systems. The first question I'm going to ask Tom is, how does the typical septic system operate?
Well, what happens, everything in the house, all drains lead to the septic tank, which is outside. And what happens is, like your laundry, dishwasher, sinks, toilets, and all that there, all ends up in the septic tank. And what happens is it's treated in the septic tank. What happens is the heavy solids will settle in the bottom, then you'll have your liquid, and then you have some scum on top. And your tank is divided into two compartments. You have your solid side, which is closest to the house. Then you have your liquid side, which drains it before it goes out to the bed. And now they have effluent filters on the outlet discharge to the septic field, just to prevent any stuff going out to the bed that shouldn't, to prevent it from plugging up. So your system is made up then, the most common one is the anaerobic systems. And so what it is pipe and stone. So it leads out from the tank to a distribution box. Then you have lines feeding off. And then a typical one is say 400 feet of pipe, say about 8 runs, 50 feet long. And then the pipe out there is perforated. So the liquid slowly filters into the ground and gets cleaned as it goes into the ground. But what can happen is, if you put too much through the system at once and don't let the solids settle in the tank, then they can get pushed out into the bed.
Tom, if you would, could you prescribe a maintenance plan for the typical septic owner?
Okay, so it all depends on how many people live in the house and how big the tank is, because tanks are different sizes depending how many fixtures are in the house. And of course, some of the older houses, the tanks now aren't as large as they are now. So like, say a typical, say 2 people, say retired and empty nesters or whatever what they call them, the kids are gone, and you know, maybe they do laundry once a week or so, well naturally they can go longer. So typically, you know, 5 years is something good to check, because not only is it good just to pump it out, but also as you pump it out, it's an inspection just to make sure everything's in good working order and all that. Now, if it's a family of 4 or 6, or you got 4 teenagers and they change their clothes 3 times a day and shower 3 times a day, and you know, so you're using a lot more water in the house, then naturally you should pump it more often. So it can vary, like a family of 4, I'll say 3 to 4 years. If it's a family of 6 and then you start getting up to 6 or 8, then you might be 2 to 3 years. So all depending on the size of the tank and the use.
And last but not least, Tom, what are the top 3 mistakes you find septic owners make?
Well, the first one is, if they've never been on septic before, then if they've been in the city and been on sewers, then they'll flush everything down there and just think it's a garbage. So the biggest problem in the last 5 years is these wipes. Baby wipes or antibacterial wipes. They don't break down. Like if you grab one, you can't even pull it apart. So it's not like toilet paper where it breaks down. So that's a no-no. And of course, grease and fats and oils and all that. And knowing just to only put in what will break down. And with the bed itself, it's not something you want to drive anything heavy on or plant trees on it, because you don't want the roots getting into it and all that there. So you got to think of it as your own little septic system, and you want to protect it and look after it, and it'll last for many years if it's maintained. And some of the other ones you get to is, some people think, oh, I don't have to pump it if I don't have a problem. Like my grandfather told me this and that. Well, years ago, we never had all the automatic dishwashers and all this stuff we had. And a lot of people hook up their water softeners to it, which is a no-no, because you're putting extra water through the system, and then the salt from the water can start eating out the baffles in the tank. So that's extra water you're putting through the system that doesn't need to be.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for answering our questions today.
Okay, thanks for having me.
No problem. And if anyone has any more questions about septic systems, please feel free to give Tom a call or check out his website. He's got lots of good tips and tricks. And of course, if you have any real estate questions, feel free to contact me. Thanks. Talk to you soon.